For years, uranium was effectively off limits in Sweden. In 2026, that changes, and very few companies are as well positioned as district metals. In today's episode, we break down what the end of the uranium ban really means, explore the potential of the world's largest underdeveloped uranium deposit, and discuss the key catalysts that could shape the company's future. If you are interested in uranium, Europe, and mining investment, this is an episode that you don't want to miss. Welcome, mining lovers. This is Charlando de Minas, the Spanish podcast dedicated to mining investment. Now, in English. Do you want to learn? Subscribe. Do you want more content in English? Leave us a comment. The episode is about to start. Welcome to a new episode of Charlando de Minas, the only Spanish podcast dedicated to mining investment. Today, in English. If you're expecting to have this episode in Spanish, don't worry. You will have this episode translated to the language of Cervantes shortly. Today, we have the pleasure of having back Garrett Ainsworth, CEO of District Metals, a company that many of you already know from our previous interview, where we did a full introduction of the company. If you haven't listened to that one, I strongly recommend to doing so, because today we're going to go deeper. We'll break down what has changed over the past months and how these developments could transform the company's future. How are you, Garrett? Welcome back to the show.
I'm doing great. Thank you, Amadeo. It's great. Yeah, it's great to be back talking with you.
Great. When I have prepared this interview, I decided to divide it in three major sections. The first, it will be country and legal framework. The second, it will be Viken and the other uranium projects. And finally, Team Tebo and corporate strategy. How I prepare it a little bit is that in each section, we will start with a short summary to set the stage, probably for the people that maybe haven't listened to the previous episode. And from there, we'll move into further questions. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. Definitely.
Perfect. Let's start with the country and the political framework. In the recent months, Sweden has undergone a historic political shift. The country has voted to repeal the moratorium that since 2018 prohibited the uranium exploration and mining as a primary metal. The new legislation will come into effect in January 1st in 2026. This places District Metal among the best positioned companies in the country. They control 5 uranium projects. They are the second largest mineral license holder in Sweden. And for the first time in decades, uranium becomes legal and a strategic mineral in the country. However, this legal change doesn't eliminate all the challenge. There is environmental permitting, municipal dynamics, community engagement, and increasing competition that will determine the real pace of the development. The first question will be that with the moratorium lifted in the 1st of January, what actually changed for you operationally from that day onwards?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, we've had 3 years to prepare for this. When we initially started staking up some of our mineral licenses for uranium polymetallic projects. So, from January 1st of 2026 onwards, we will legally be able to explore and develop uranium specifically. Now, our uranium projects are polymetallic, meaning they have other metals in them associated with them. So, I mean, we previously staked them up on those other metals like vanadium, molybdenum, nickel, copper, zinc. There's also, rare earth elements and So, but now we can specifically put, drill permit applications forward for only uranium if that's what we choose to do. But I mean, our alum shale property, such as our Viken property, in particular, I mean, it is uranium and other metals and minerals as well that are very important.
Great. someone in the audience of one of your recent talks asked you about the social opposition, and you mentioned that Sweden lacks of mechanism to transfer mining benefits to towns and cities. How do you advance a mine without a clear system for local benefit sharing with the mine?
Yeah, so it's actually a bit surprising that there isn't a system in place, like a clear system for benefit sharing with local communities, because Sweden does so many things totally right in
Yeah,
terms of like the permitting process is very clear. There's a lot of transparency. So I believe there's, when a mining company in Sweden goes to have a project, they come to agreements with landowners, with municipalities and whatnot. But there's no clear system in place. And so we're going to hopefully contribute to developing a more clear system. And, I take from Canada the impact benefit agreements that are done between mining companies and Indigenous groups. And I think they're very applicable to what could be done in Sweden. So, I mean, an impact IBA agreement, it really has three components to it. The first being financial, which could include things such as royalty payments, profit sharing, lump sum payments. There could be a development fund that's established. There's also fixed or revenue linked type contributions. Those are all up for negotiation between the mining company and the local communities affected. Yeah. So, and that usually comes later in the process, like when you get closer to a feasibility study level project, because then the economics of your project. The second component of an IBA would be social. So this could include, commitments to employing local people, a certain percentage, obviously training of local people, business development for opportunities for local businesses, procurement, and then also infrastructure support as well. So, I mean, that could be a lot. Like a rec center could be built, or hospitals, or you name it. Like it's a blank canvas when you start these projects. And then the last component of an IBA would be environmental. So this could include guarantees on environmental protection and monitoring that are over and above what are already very strict rules and regulations in Sweden. But it could also include, funding for parks or habitat improvements. I know in British Columbia, there's been a few fish hatcheries that have been built by logging companies or possibly even mining companies that just kind of gives back to nature in a very productive way.
Nice. And your intention is to lead this change, or to be able to change the rules that are now in place, to secure some benefits to the community, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be to change the system, but I mean, a lot of this IBAs are confidential, so it's not something that would be made available to the government
Everyone.
or the public. It's really between the mining company and the communities. But it would create a certain degree of framework from a high level. But again, that comes later on in the process. Like we're going to be doing an updated PEA on the Viken deposit, and that's too early to be to be considering an IBA.
Of course. As well, in Sweden, there will be elections next September. Do you see any risk there? I mean, do you think that could be any step back into what it has been all of this process during all of these years?
Like you see, like potentially they could put the ban back on.
Yeah, for example.
It's a great question, and I'm getting that question a lot. And we've had discussions with our public affairs consultant about this, with many consultants in Sweden, with legal counsel in Sweden, and the answer is it's very low risk that there would be a reversal, and then the uranium moratorium would get put back on. it's in no country's best interest to flip flop on legislation. So I mean, the uranium ban was put on in 2018, and it's getting lifted eight years later. So it creates an unstable working environment if you flip flop on those. And something that's even more important than just that is that, lots changed since 2018. 2018, it was a left-leaning government, Social Democrats being propped up by the Green Party. And they said they were going to go 100% renewable energy, solar and wind, and, subsequent to that, and then that they're going to phase out nuclear energy, and therefore they were going to, ban uranium mining because they didn't need uranium in that scenario. But it's turned out since then that solar and wind is being proven not to work as being 100% of your source of power. So, and then obviously when Russia invaded Ukraine, that made energy costs go up 3 to 4 times in Sweden. So the general population in Sweden has gone very much pro-nuclear energy. And it's very apparent that, Sweden wants to lead the way in terms of technology, like data centers, AI, all that good stuff. They're talking about SMRs. They want to build 10 reactors by 2045. This is a full 180 shift from what happened in 2018. So even the opposition, even the Social Democrats have stated that they're back on board with nuclear energy. That's critical. So that helps no matter who wins the election in September of 2026. I think the majority of the opposition and the current Swedish government are pro-nuclear.
And in line with your reply, Sweden plans to build 10 new nuclear reactors, right? And then my question is if you had any preliminary conversation with Swedish nuclear sector players to secure the uranium for those reactors.
The short answer is yes. I'm not going to name drop because that's not a good idea, and there's no benefit from that. But no, definitely there have been some discussions for sure. But it should also be noted these are very preliminary.
Of course. I mean, these are still
just because
you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's still technically on right now. Exactly. So it's. But no, I think there is like some good potential for utilities and government to get more involved. In November, I went to Brussels to go to the raw materials side event, and I was really taken back with how driven the EU is to get domestic source of critical raw materials, and I won't be surprised if uranium gets classified as a critical raw material in the not too distant future.
Of course. You have mentioned as well in another talk that private companies have been quietly stacking ground for uranium. Do you expect a rise of competitors in 2026? And does this more competition help you or complicate your path?
There could be more companies coming in to stake up ground. I should say though that the best and most obvious ground has been staked up. So the ground where there's a known uranium deposit, such as our Viken deposit, that's all being staked up. So the ground that's left is earlier stage. So it's probably less desirable. So there could be more. It also depends on how the uranium market is doing next year. But I'm actually happy to see more companies looking for and developing uranium in Sweden. I think it's better for us because it puts more of a focus on Sweden and the uranium in the country. So I was really happy to see there's a company called United Lithium, and they've just acquired a bunch of uranium assets in Sweden, and they're listed on the TSX Venture or the CSE. And I think that's really good because they'll be out in the market and they'll be telling investors that Sweden's a great place and it's got uranium, and that's good for everyone. It's working in Sweden.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. Let's move now to Viken. Viken is the district's metal flagship project, a massive alum shell system containing uranium, vanadium, potash, molybdenum, nickel, copper, zinc, phosphate, and traces of rare elements. You name it, you have everything in there. It is the largest undeveloped uranium deposit in the world, and according to the company, the current resource may present only a small portion of the potential. In 2025, the company published an NI 43101 with 4.3 billion tons in the infrared category, but a recent geophysical survey has changed how investors could view Viken. There are certain areas that show even stronger conductors than the current resource area, suggesting multiple additional deposits within the same property. Additionally, District plans to deliver the PEA in 2026, along with drilling across several new targets. The mobile MT results show anomalies that are better than the current resource area. Do you believe the already published resource could be only a fraction of Viken's true potential?
Yes, I agree with that statement for sure. And this is a classic case of why when you get onto a project, the very first thing you should do is airborne geophysics, because and I should mention that this mobile MT geophysical survey was not available back when Continental Precious Minerals was advancing the Viken property. So I believe this technology came out in 2015 or maybe even later. But so when we flew the Viken property, obviously we flew over the Viken deposit itself. We saw an anomaly that was conductive. And the reason why the mineralization is conductive is because it's associated with graphite, and that's a very strong conductor. And there's no other rocks in the area that are conductive. So it really helps the lump shell that's got graphite in it to stand out, that's mineralized. We were pleasantly surprised to see that there was 9 mobile MT anomalies from the survey across the whole property, with 3 of these anomalies being larger and stronger than the Viken deposit itself. So yes, I fully agree that there's a strong likelihood that there are several Viken deposits within the Viken property. But one thing that's important is not to say that we're going to go for a massive mining scenario with a preliminary economic assessment. We're going to keep it small.
Okay. But if you identify multiple bodies around existing deposit, are you looking at a multiple pit district model, similar maybe to a giant phosphate or the vanadium systems, or maybe this is the reality, but you will just keep it small for the moment?
I think the best way for now is to keep it small. I think there is potential for a multi-pit district, but not concurrently. To do them, in staged events. Yeah. But yeah, I think for this PEA, we're just going to focus on one pit and have it somewhere between 50 to 100 million tons. And the reason why you want to keep it to a smaller type mining scenario with these economic studies or when you actually go to mine is because the CapEx will go pretty high if you decide to make it a large mining operation. So obviously you don't want to see that happen. And then if it's too large of a mining scenario, then you'll oversupply the world with vanadium. Vanadium's not a huge market. And then of course, if you go for a massive open pit, it's not good for your social license. So to give you an idea of 100 million tons, if the alum shell that's mineralized is 100 meters thick, that would cover a surface area of 600 meters by 600 meters, which is that's very reasonable. That's more like a
Yeah.
quarry. And there are quarries in Jämtland for limestone, for aggregate, and 600 meters by 600 meters is not really that big of surface area disturbance.
Hmm. I mean, you have said that the Viken PA will be a true multi-metal project, not just uranium. But here there are two questions. The first is, which metal do you think that will drive the project economics? And the second, talking about CapEx and OpEx, is that it could be really challenged, to process several metal circuits at such a scale. What do you think about this risk, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely top of mind whenever you've got a multi-metal deposit, that metallurgy is critical in it. From past studies, it's very clear that vanadium holds the most value in these alum shales, followed by potash, and then followed by uranium. So uranium truly is a byproduct in these alum shales, and that's a good thing because the opposition government, which is, the majority of it's made up of the Social Democrats, have gone on record and stated their support of mining uranium as a byproduct. So again, that feeds in nicely to the elections that are coming up in September 2026, and it being, not really as big of a risk when you've got the current government pro uranium mining and the majority of the opposition saying that they're okay with uranium mining as a byproduct. So I like that situation. Past studies of metallurgical recoveries for uranium and vanadium have come in at 80% or higher. So I think it's okay. Maybe there's room for us to improve on that. Past recoveries of potash were 60%. I think we can hopefully improve on that, and then past recoveries on molybdenum, nickel, copper, zinc have been kind of 75%, and no one's ever looked into the rare earth element potential for metallurgy, but when we won't be doing too much metallurgy with the PEA because that we'll hopefully have out mid 2026. Because we just want to get it out as fast as possible. But then,
of course,
when we move on to the next economic study, then we'll definitely have a big focus on metallurgy. And so that's I've already been talking to metallurgists since last month, or even before, actually.
Okay. You aim to drill the mobile MT targets, no? Right? But the question is, what is the exploration plan for Viken for 2026? I will guess for your replies over the last 20 minutes that you will not include any of those on the PA that will come half of the year. But I will guess that you will advance, to discover the true potential of the deposit.
Yeah. So I don't have board approval on what we're exactly doing next year. But we'll get that before the end of the year.
Okay, then let me rephrase the question then. You, Garrett, as a CEO of District Metals, what will be happy as an exploration plan for Viken? What will be the good questions to answer for Viken in your plan?
Yep, definitely. So first and foremost, focus on getting a preliminary economic assessment out for the Viken deposit. So the fastest way to do that is within the existing Viken deposit, because there's recent historical drill data that we can use that will really fast track it. We don't have to drill our own holes. We don't need to do any metallurgy for the most part as well. So that is going to be, number one focus for us at Viken. And then number two will be to test some of the best mobile MT anomalies, which target area A and target area B, I think have actually target area A has the strongest
Yeah.
mobile MT signature out of anywhere on the property, and it's never been drilled. But I mean, there's been a few drill holes on the eastern edge of target area A. They're historical, and it's public information. They hit 50 meters of mineralized alum shell, and that was just on the outside of target A. So the core of it has never been drilled, and so it's actually situated in a really good spot where it's mostly forest and swamp, and it's quite a ways back, maybe 5 kilometers back from the lake or more. So I mean, so say we do this PA within the existing Viken deposit, but if we drill off an area in target A or B that actually looks better from
Than the Viken, yeah.
And then the Viken, and like, yeah, in terms, and we drill off 100 million tons, then we might end up doing a PEA on one of target area A or target area B, and kind of make that the main focus to move forward with a PFS and feasibility. And something to note, like to drill off 100 million tons, because the continuity of the mineralization is so good with these alum shells, if you have, like I said, if you have 100 meters thick of mineralized alum shell, it's 100 million tons would be 600 meters by 600 meters. So that would only take 9 drill holes to get to 100 million tons, because the drill spacing is 300 meters to get to an inferred mineral resource estimate. So you can get to that 100 million tons pretty quickly. And there's
it's very different than it would be for a gold deposit or for other minerals, right? I mean, it's pretty easy, much less expensive, and very fast.
Yeah. It's shocking for me, because I am a uranium geologist from the Athabasca Basin, where inferred drill spacing is 50 meters. Typically, and then indicated it goes down to 25 or maybe it's 15 meters. Like those are very closely spaced drill holes, and it's just because the continuity of the high grade in the Athabasca is not very good. You can step out 25 meters from a hole that hits 10 meters at 10% and hit nothing very easily.
Imagine. But how much of that work can be funded internally, and how much might require either partner or external finance?
For Viken, I mean, we're fully funded for whatever we're gonna do next year.
Perfect. Then let's talk now briefly about the other uranium projects, because District Metal is not just Viken. The company controls a portfolio of 5 uranium projects across historical districts, many of which have seen minimal exploration since the 70s and 80s. These include high-grade Athabasca-style targets, shallow and open Colorado Plateau systems, massive uranium boulder trains with grades above 1%, and regional alum shale trends that could replicate Viken or similar to Viken. The company has stated that Viken is the core asset, while the others may advance via partnership or strategic agreements. You have 5 uranium projects advancing at once. How do you decide which ones are core and which might be candidates for joint ventures or option outs? What is the strategy?
So for 2026, we're going to be focused on alum shells, with our Viken property obviously being our flagship. So that's going to be the focus, and then also hopefully look to do some drilling on our other alum shell properties. Our 3 other properties that are not alum shell are Arnasveta, Sakjarn, and Nine Force. They're like a smaller tonnage target but higher grade uranium. We'll probably look just to follow up on some of the airborne radiometric and magnetic results that we got this year from a drone survey we did, but likely we won't do any drilling on those properties.
Okay. Then you said that all the exploration or all the drilling, let's say in that way, it will go to the alum shale. But my understanding is that you have two of these 5 small deposits, that is the Esterkallen and Tasgo, and then obviously Viken. How much it will be put the efforts in each of these deposits in terms of the exploration plan? It will be mainly in Viken and then some small drilling on the other 2, or it will be a very good amount of exploration as well in these other 2 targets?
It'll mainly be the Viken property, and then drilling also on the alum shale properties. And I think that's right. We've got different mineral license names within the alum shale. There's so many, and they're very Swedish names, so that's why we just lump them all in. But for the last 3 news releases we've had about our alum shale properties have broken out some of the names, and I believe Osterkallen would be kind of one of the best within the alum shale properties, followed by Malgomai. I really like Malgomai. Those targets are huge. And then third would be Tasho.
Then you think that you will at least explore or have some drilling on those 3 properties?
Hopefully. Yeah, we'll see. We'll be guided by the drill results. Like if we if we drill into the center of Osterkallen and we get what we're hoping for, then we might just drill off 100 million tons there. Whether it's, could be 9 holes, could be, if it's 50 meters thick, then it's 16 holes. So we're just gonna, when it comes to drilling on the alum shale properties, we're gonna let the drill results guide us.
Then how many drill holes will be Garrett happy with in 2026?
It's tough to say how many but
I am trying to phrase correctly for you. Don't say, no, I don't have any plan yet.
Yeah, I'd like to do between 5,000 and 10,000 meters of drilling next year for sure. And that's combined, that's the Viken property and the alum shale properties. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Then just move now to the Timbuktu, Boliden, and corporate strategy. That will be our last section. District Metals originally launched as a BMS focused company with Timbuktu, a historic polymetallic project near Boliden infrastructure. But since 2022, the company has clearly pivoted towards uranium. Tom Thibault is barely mentioned in recent presentations, and the Boliden connection seems mostly in the past. This raises an important strategic question. What role will Timbuktu play in a company that is now almost entirely uranium focused?
Yeah, so our last 3 financings in 2023, 24, 25, all the investors that participated in those financings made it very clear that those funds were to only go towards uranium properties in Sweden, not on base metal polymetallic properties such as Tomtebo or Gruvberget. So, we don't plan on spending any funds on Tomtebo or Gruvberget, but we're actively looking for potential partner to come in and basically take over where Boliden left off.
Yeah, because Boliden was once an important partner. Is there any possibility of renewing discussions, or it will be directly seeking a new partner for the asset? And if it's the last one, or maybe the first one, you are looking to sell, or you are looking for a joint venture?
First off, I'll start with Boliden. It's unlikely that they would come back into optioning Tomtebo or Gruvberget because their rationale for leaving the option. in year 2 out of what should have been 4 years was that they had acquired 2 base metal polymetallic mines in Europe, one being in Sweden, the other being in Portugal. And so they needed to redirect exploration funds to near mine exploration. So the chances of them coming back, I think, would be quite low. And then in terms of what kind of a potential transaction, I mean, we'd be open to anything that would have potential at creating shareholder value, whether it's a full out sale or optioning the property, the base metal properties, and then we're the operators. Because I mean, we've got one of the best technical teams in Sweden, especially when it comes to base metals, because Hein Rat and Rodney, they both worked for Boliden for decades.
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap out with a few final questions. The first is that it has been rumors for a few months already that district metals will be included in the ETF. Will this be true at some point? And what will be the impact for the company if this finally happens?
Yes. So these are good potential catalysts for the company, actually, if it works out in our favor. I mean, I think there's a Sprott uranium fund that is rebalancing, I think in a week or so. And I've reached out to all the uranium ETFs just to let them know, hey, District Metals,
we are here.
We're here. The uranium ban has been lifted in Sweden. So I mean, they don't like to really interact with the companies. They just focus on their portfolios. So I don't know. With Sprott rebalancing, will they add us before the end of the year? I don't know. Hopefully, it would be great. I think it makes a ton of sense. The one that I'm really looking forward to, hopefully, is Global X Uranium ETF. They're rebalancing on January 30th of 2026. And so obviously that's after the January 1st, 2026, when the legislation will change to allow uranium exploration and mining. We're also on the sole active index, which is what Global X chooses their companies from. So I mean, if they add us to their uranium ETF, they would likely have to buy 10 to 12 million shares on market. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Okay, and I guess that it will be really interesting as well to have some ETF institutional addition, to the partners and the portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, we already have a very strong share registry with funds, family offices, and high net worths. But we definitely welcome additional strong shareholders onto it as well.
Mm-hmm. The share price has decreased over the last months. I was looking now, and maybe it has fallen like 30% or so over the last month and a half. What do you think? Do you think that it's related to, this strategy, the buy the rumor, sell the news, or it's about maybe some shorts about the company? What is the vision that you have? Because today, I mean, it's under a Canadian dollar.
Yep. So I believe there's 3 different factors which are placing the current share price and market valuation of District as to where it's at. First off, there was a way larger sell the news event than I imagined it would be. From November 5th, where the vote was approved to lift the uranium ban. I do believe there's been some games played based on, there was a short position they got put on, like it was over 2 million shares. There's a lot of bot trading. That's where there's like shares are traded in lots of like 100, 500, or even 1,000. The volume was very, very high. So, I mean, we've been consistently over 1 million shares traded per day. And then just the overall uranium companies have not been doing well. So the spot price came off a little bit. It's there's when you just look around at all of our peer companies, everyone's gone down. So those are the three main factors why I think we're at where we're at right now.
And what do you think that will happen after the 1st of January? Do you think that this will be a main catalyst, even though everyone knows, that this will happen? Do you think that it will really set a pace for increasing the value for the company?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. It would be very speculative of me to say it's gonna go to the moon.
Yeah.
I think one thing that does happen is that there's going to be funds and ETFs that now look at district differently, because we have the largest undeveloped uranium deposit in the world, in a country that now has legalized uranium exploration and mining. So it's a lot different of a position to be in than saying, this is what this is our uranium asset, and we're hoping that they lift the uranium ban. So now we've gotten through the biggest risk, that the company has had. So it's we have a clear path forward to explore and develop our uranium projects, and I'm really looking forward to 2026 and what we can do.
Great. Just finally, just for wrapping up, for someone entering to District Metals today, what are the main catalysts and milestones for 2026?
So, number one, the preliminary economic assessment that we will do on the Viken property. Specifically, it'll likely be within the Viken deposit itself, and then we'll also look to do drilling on our geophysical anomalies, the mobile MT anomalies at the Viken and the alum shale properties. So those are the main catalysts. But then we've also staked up a lot more ground in the alum shale properties, within the alum shale properties. So we'll be looking to fly airborne mobile MT surveys at the new ground that we've acquired, again, to get it drill target ready. And then we'll also be doing some field work on our non-alum shale properties that'll include mapping, prospecting, sampling, basically just going in to the uranium hotspots that were identified from the drone radiometric survey, and helping to better understand those properties and just bring them that much closer to being drill ready. I mean, the three non-alum shale properties are already, for the most part, drill ready, but this will really kind of help focus in on the exact drill hole colors and dip and end of hole target depth.
Perfect. Thanks, Garrett, for the interview. I mean, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you back in the show. We'll have a close look to the news of District Metals and hope to have you back in mid-2026, maybe with the news of the PA, maybe with some of drilling of these massive opportunities in Viken or the other uranium deposits. Thanks again, and see you soon.
Thank you, Amadeo. It's a pleasure talking with you.
Okay, it's now. Disclaimer. The content in Charlando de Minas is not an investment advice. Amadeo Bonet and his guests are not investment advisors. The authors may have interest in the companies mentioned in this publication. They may also have bias and not be impartial. The information in this publication and all the others in Charlando de Minas is impersonal by nature and should be considered as an entertainment product. The minimum risk of any investment mentioned in this video is 100% of the capital. Before to make any investment decision, contact to a financial or investment advisor or someone qualified with experience. These broadcasts are a narrative of my learnings in the world of commodities and mining investment. In this podcast, we will try to bring experts, professionals, and companies. If you like it, please subscribe. I am Abel Bonet. Welcome to Charlando de Minas.